Whoa. Week 4 is upon us. Welcome back, everybody.
Nice to see everybody. Jack, you're looking very nice. Your new little setup there, a little taller, a little clearer to the fans. Very nicely done.
It's adjusting the height of my, now I have the laptop on a cardboard box with the mic pointed right at my mouth. Hopefully that's better.
Nothing like putting money into the studio.
Where's your Steelers hat?
It got so dirty that I need a new one. And it smells so bad, I can't wear it anymore.
I like I like the Kith hat though.
Yeah, I mean it's black and it goes with the Steelers shirt, with the nice dry fit coach's shirt that Coach Tomlin wears.
One of my students showed me a collaboration between Kith and TaylorMade. It's custom golf clubs.
Delicious. Wow.
Very cool. What are you drinking?
That is a Montauk Juicy IPA, one of my faves.
There you go.
A few of them left over from the summer, and I'm going to try and kill those. Generally, we do the IPAs after deck hockey, so I'll get rid of those in the cooler. I've been told to prepare the cooler, as I have many times.
Okay.
So that'll be that. But great week for us, right, buddy? So 4-1 last week. Our 5 picks, really good. We're back in business on Blue Star. Cincinnati crushed our hearts, obviously, in Survivor. So we're out of that thing, which sucks. I'm sure we're not alone there, right?
The fourth chance Survivor pools at DraftKings are officially kicking.
Yep, I'm in that one with you. So
jump in.
Yeah, put us back in with whatever the buyback is, $10 a man, whatever it is.
There's a $10 one. Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right, so we'll do that. Why not? Let's get back in there with everyone else who's been eliminated.
Yep. All right, so let's just jump into this week's cards. Starting off with, I got all the lines. Contest lines are up.
Yep.
Want to make a bet lines are pretty much the same right now. By the time we get to kickoff, it'll be different. So again, let's just try to identify targets. We won't actually make our picks right now. Again, our picks will be released in the wanttomakeabet.com newsletter, which comes out on Sunday morning. If anybody wants to get on that and they're not currently, you just have to become a member of the site and you'll be automatically added. And those will come out on Sunday mornings. We also post those to our blog on the website at wanttomakeabet.com. So shouldn't have trouble getting them, plus all our social media channels.
Exactly. It's a better method.
The New York Giants, who kicked the Cleveland Browns' ass, are hosting the Dallas Cowboys, who they have historically have been taken out behind the woodshed. And Dallas, this line came out at 4.5, and it didn't take long for people to take the bait and start running with this one. But currently 5.5.
Yep.
I think it's 5 at wanttomakeabet.com, but I've even seen some 6s out there. So it's off and running. Yeah. There's a lot of Dallas money coming into the market. And I don't know what you think, but like going with, for me, my first take on this game is Giants are overvalued and Dallas is undervalued based on what happened last week against Baltimore for the Cowboys, and Giants beating Cleveland, which, wasn't that impressive if you think about the Browns, but I don't know. Maybe people think it was impressive, but I think it's a good spot for Dallas, especially because they've historically owned them. And I don't know. I don't see that changing in this game. What do you think?
A couple things I think are really key here. I mean, first of all, I think the Giants secondary is banged up. I think they lost a corner and maybe the safety, the 2 young kids. If that's the case, that's a problem with CeeDee Lamb, obviously.
I'll give you some. Who are you talking about exactly?
The starting corner and their best safety, I believe, were both
Phillips. Phillips?
Yep.
Yeah, he's been ruled out ahead of Thursday's game.
That's the disaster for the Giants. Next is their corner, the kid they drafted.
So they're going to be starting Isaiah Simmons.
He doesn't play safety though. Did they make him a safety? He was drafted as a middle linebacker. I mean, outside linebacker, Isaiah Simmons, when he was on Arizona. He's playing safety?
Well, no, he's listed as a cornerback on the initial depth chart.
Wow. I didn't realize he must have lost some weight. He was pretty slight for a linebacker, but he came into the league as an outside linebacker. That's amazing that he could be. Yeah. He's basically converted safety.
It says on the analysis that he's switching positions when he got traded to the Giants because he was a linebacker.
That's right. And what about corner?
Where, the other corner?
Yeah.
Well, that he's the slot corner. Nick McLeod is healthy, and so is Deontay Banks. So,
Banks is playing. Okay, that's what I was worried about. So Banks is going to try and cover CeeDee Lamb. Phillips is a big loss. Listen, I love the way the Giants have played on the defensive line. I mean, I know you guys were missing a couple tackles last week. 8 sacks is 8 sacks, and man, they got after it. The concern I have with Dallas is their offensive line. I think they've been not great, and I don't know if they're missing people up front to injury. If you could just check that, that's going to be a big stat. And the other thing is
fine. I mean, Guyton, Smith, BB, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele, they're all, unless Bostic. No, he wasn't.
They're all okay?
He wasn't a starter.
Okay. So they were all okay.
Yeah, they're healthy.
Okay, so listen, the line move is telling you that, this is a good spot for Dallas. Historically, it has been a good spot for Dallas. The Giants, however, are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games at home. So whatever that's worth, maybe they have some confidence. My whole thing is, and you mentioned, I thought you had a great take the other day on Fangio, that he basically realized he had to do something different than what he was doing, and he did it, and it was very successful. I don't know if Mike Zimmer can do that, but he needs to, because what he's doing now in Dallas is not working. They've been blown out in 2 straight games, both at home, where they had been like 16-1 in the last 17. So I'm not sure he's capable. He's a pretty he strikes me as a stubborn guy, Yeah.
But I think, look, the weakness on the Giants defense is in their secondary.
100%.
Unlike Cleveland, Dallas can take advantage of that. We could not, and we shouldn't, like I said on Tuesday or Monday, we shouldn't have been trying as hard as we did. We should have just been pounding the ball, because that's what we do. But Dallas, what they do is pass the ball well. And I think they're going to shred these guys, and Dak's good enough, and their offensive line is healthy enough to protect. I kind of look at it almost similar to the Cleveland game for Dallas, that just have to protect him, and then he'll just start carving that secondary up.
I would think so. I think it's an easier thing said than done. The strength of the Giant team is the D-line. So, that's where they're going to excel. I don't know if you start pressuring Dak, that's when he starts making mistakes. I mean, we all know he turns the ball over.
Oh yeah.
Like a turnover. He's a turnover machine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is a tough game to pick. Be honest with you. I've been ice cold on Thursday nights, so I guess whatever I do.
I mean, it's almost like, and I was going to say it last week,
I'm horrible.
I think we're 0-3 together. Like we might want to just lay off.
I think we should lay off. I mean, I'm going to root for the Giants, but this should be a bounce back spot for Dallas to win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I like Dallas. So if you want to join me, we can talk tomorrow, but I picked Dallas in this game. Not
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a skip, but we can talk about it.
Steelers, Colts, you're laying 1.5 on the road. I think this is a letdown spot for you guys. Colts finally got their first win last week. They looked okay. I think they could have looked better, but a win is a win, and they got some mojo. And I don't know what you think, but I think, you struggled last year in Indy, and I kind of think you'll struggle again. But I'm passing on this game. I think it's too close to call, and I do not like betting against the Steelers the way that they've been playing defense right now. They're like arguably the best defense in the league. In fact, I have the DVOA numbers refreshed, and I'm pretty sure, and I ran the Dave, which is adjusted for variation early. So
they should be right up there.
They are, what the hell? I believe they're not in the top. They have Seattle, Minnesota, Houston, Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, Buffalo, Jets, Saints, Chiefs, Steelers. God, you guys are 11th.
That can't be right. We don't give up points, so I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm passing on this game. What do you have an opinion? I know. All
right, so
yeah.
One thing I should have brought up earlier. So last week, with the trends that I use, not obviously they're just a guideline, but last week the trends were 14-7. So they're working. They worked last week at a pretty significant clip. I mean, that's 2 out of every 3 trends was correct. The trend here says Pittsburgh in the over. Pittsburgh did struggle last year against the Colts, but prior to that, and most of these games were in Pittsburgh, they were 8-1 straight up against the Colts. So that one game last year is the one that sticks in my mind because that's the one I remember. Yeah. But most recently. But the Steelers are playing great. I mean, they've covered the spread. They're 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games. Generally, this game is a little bit more high scoring than you'd think. I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Richardson. I was earlier in the year, but he has not shown me a lot the last couple weeks. And I think the Steelers can stop the run, and the Colts run the ball. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor. They're really good up front with their line, but I think our defense is very good. And if they try and throw it, I think that Richardson's going to throw some interceptions. So it's only 1.5. I don't know. It's a sucker line, I guess, but I'm not going to bet against the Steelers, when they're on a hot streak like this. And Fields is playing well. The big news, we did lose Highsmith. So
did you?
Yeah, he's out. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks with a groin. And one of our young corners is on IR for the next 4 weeks. So they signed CJ Henderson today, who was a number 1 pick by the Jags years ago. But I don't think it's really going to affect anything because Herbig's been really good from Wisconsin. He had 2 sacks last week. So I don't know. The unit's playing great. If I had to, I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I'm not going to go against my team. And Richardson hasn't been good enough for me to do that.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I could, we'll talk Sunday, but I could take Pittsburgh as well. Let's see what else we can come up with.
Defense travels. One thing in the NFL.
Yeah. Vikings, Packers. Packers are getting 2.5 at home. Great NFC North battle here.
Any chance Love plays?
Well, I think the news out of him is, and I'll just check Roto World right now on anything latest, but
he's an MCL.
And I think it felt like last week he was not going to go just to get ready for this game.
Yeah.
He practiced in a limited capacity today. He's making progress. The thing is, if you watch these press conferences, LaFleur really likes Malik Willis. It's so funny. I mean, he genuinely really likes the guy.
Pretty wild.
He's so supportive of him. I mean, he's being a great coach, and it's hard to argue. I mean, he's played 2 good games, so he's kind of doing all the right things. And I don't think he's in a rush to bring Love back if he's not ready. And based on the way Willis played the last 2 weeks, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, listen, they're 2-0. They're 2-0 with him. I mean, Willis, I guess he looks at him as almost a reclamation project, right? I mean, he was drafted in the as a top quarterback taken in the draft that year to a bad team, similar to a Sam Darnold, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes you just go to a bad situation. I mean, let's see what happens with this kid in Carolina, where he ends up finishing his career. So, but a lot of these guys.
That said, this is a totally different beast than playing the Titans.
Yeah, Minnesota's defense is top notch.
Yes, 100%.
And it's going to be interesting to see the running back go back to Green Bay. That's an interesting angle, also. But I think Green Bay is gonna win this game. I would take Green Bay at home in this game. The trends support Green Bay playing very well at home. 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games overall, and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games at home. And I understand only one of those games recently was with Willis, but LaFleur's been coaching great. Green Bay's defense is underrated. I think they're really solid. And, Minnesota, I think, is overvalued a little bit here, coming off that huge win against the Texans, which we both called. And then I loved last week, Minnesota. It's just a matchup that they own. But I think this is going to be tough for them. This is going to be a different animal for Minnesota to go outside to Green Bay, division rival. It's going to be a tough place for them to win. I see Green Bay winning a close game here. Probably a low-scoring game, but who knows? You never know. I mean, you don't really know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I'm on Minnesota in this one, but again, I don't think I would pick it. Too close to call, but I like everything Minnesota's doing. They look fantastic. Darnold looks amazing.
He does.
Love O'Connell. Flores is a defensive genius. What he's scheming, their defense looks incredible. Everything about them looks great, and I just kind of feel like this is where the rubber meets the road for Malik. And this is the end of him sort of getting away, or that, first of all, them getting away with being able to not getting away with hiding the quarterback, essentially.
True.
Right? I don't think they're going to force him to beat them.
Flores is, yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I'll take the Vikings in this one.
Did Darnold get knocked out of last game? I feel like Darnold is a little nicked up. He's not 100%.
No. No, I mean, I'll double check, but I don't think he has any kind of status. Hold on, Minnesota.
Okay. I thought he got banged around a little in that game.
No. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So agree to disagree. You're on Minnesota. I'm on Green Bay.
Yep. Okay. Jags, Houston. God, I'm not going to bet on this. 6.5.
Can you believe how bad the fucking Jaguars are? I mean, that's a disgrace. The product they put on the field Monday night. I was so agitated by what I was watching that I just, sometimes when you just want to get off the couch and you just want to reach through the screen and just grab someone by the neck. That's how I felt about Peterson and that quarterback that they're paying all that money to, $275 million to Rocky Dennis, who's awful. I mean, it was embarrassing to watch. And the defense,
I guess you had a bet on them.
I did. And you know what? The defense is incapable, absolutely outclassed. Whoever's coaching that defense should be fired. I mean, that was an embarrassment in the first half. 35 points allowed. I don't think they stopped them on one drive.
Mm-hmm.
I get Josh Allen's great. I get it.
Ryan Nielsen, first year.
Yeah, and last.
Mm-hmm. Where did he come from, by the way?
God. I have no idea. Boise State.
Atlanta. He was a defensive coordinator for Atlanta last year, and they had a terrible defense.
Yeah, and he worked with Arthur Smith, and the two of them were terrible together.
Saints, NC State.
I like Houston in this game. I don't know how you could take Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is a broken franchise, absolutely broken. They're reeling,
and I think they're. I saw that guy, that the owner, that guy Khan. He's like usually a fun-loving guy, but man, he was visibly upset.
Should have been. I would have been visibly upset if that was my team and the performance that they put out on the field was embarrassing.
I think Peterson is officially on the get fired watch. Like, terrible end of last season, really from the midway point on, and now starting off the same way. Like, this could be bad for him.
He drives me crazy with those librarian glasses that he wears. Just want to knock him right off his face.
The readers,
goddamn readers during the game. I think he even has a chain attached to his ear.
No,
some old person.
I'm with you on Houston. Good bounce back spot. They play better at home. They definitely have some issues also. Like, CJ was definitely frazzled in that game last week, but I know they just seem to play really well at home.
They don't play well against Minnesota. Minnesota is 5-0 against them in franchise history. I talked about it on the pod. That stuff I think matters in the NFL. I just think certain teams just don't match up well with other teams for whatever the reason. But Houston is 10-2 straight up in their last 12 games when playing Jacksonville. So that's, home, away, whatever. And Houston's in a great bounce back spot here. I think they're going to abuse Jacksonville.
Okay. I agree with you. I'm ready to keep shoveling dirt on the Jags. Saints Falcons, another great division game. 1.5. I'll be passing on this one, but there's some significant injuries, and I heard that there's going to be some. It may have already happened today, but the Saints are going to announce some very significant injuries, I believe, on the offensive line. They're going to, like, the main guy who covers the Saints, I forget his name, mentioned that yesterday, that there's going to be some really bad news from the offensive line. So they're going to be super banged up. And I lean Atlanta in this game because it kind of, like, I think, like, the season is underway now and teams are starting to, well, I wouldn't say, meet their preseason expectations, but some of them are. And there's definitely some clear surprises like Washington. But I think when you look at, the NFC South, the Falcons are a better team than the Saints, top to bottom. And I think they'll get a win here, but I wouldn't bet it. It's too close. There's no value in 1.5.
What is the line? 1.5 Saints are favored or getting?
Favored.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree with you in this game.
Well, Atlanta's at home.
I know. I'm just going to disagree with you. I think the trends tell you the Saints. This has always been a road series. The road team always wins this game. Saints are in a great bounce back spot after. Listen, they lost to a desperate Eagles team who a lot of people think are the class of the NFC East and will probably make their way potentially to the NFC Championship game. I mean, the Eagles have that much talent on their roster. There's no shame in losing to them. Saquon, obviously, with the 65-yard run, broke the game open, and we knew Derek Carr would come back to earth a little, but I like them in a bounce-back spot here. I don't think the Falcons are as good as you're telling me that they are, and I think that historically the Saints are 5-1 straight up in their last 6 when they play on the road against Atlanta. This is a road series, so I would take the Saints, and I would take the under because the trends tell you that this series, a lot, especially in Atlanta, are low scoring games. But listen, I don't play a lot of totals. I'm just telling you what the trends tell me. But I like the Saints here. I think the Saints are going to bounce back. I think they're better than Atlanta. I think the Saints are the best team in that division.
Okay. It's, like I don't feel that strongly about it. And I have the Saints ranked 5th overall on the DVOA Dave, which is adjusted for variation early, and Atlanta's, I don't know, 15th or something down here. So 20th actually. So it's hard to argue with what you're saying. I just think, Atlanta at home, and the Saints got exposed a little bit, but also the big injury news on the offensive line that I just mentioned.
That could be big.
Yeah, and let me just see if that came up yet here in New Orleans. So offensive, nothing yet, but apparently some bomb is going to get dropped.
I'll say this. I think it's going to take Cousins quite some time here, at least half a season, to get adjusted to this team. I mean, people are expecting him. Yeah, I just think people are expecting too much out of the guy early in the season. I mean, it's a long season. To me, Atlanta's a team that will be under 500 in the first 8 games. And I think the Saints are a team where Derek Carr has been there now long enough, and with the coaching staff and with that defense that can get after people. As long as they're right and they're healthy, they're in a lot of games, because of their defense. So I still think there's a culture there. I think there's a good core in New Orleans, and I think that Carr is like really comfortable there now. So I think he's going to bounce back this week. I think Olave is going to score a touchdown. I think Kamara is going to be good, and I like the Saints in Atlanta. I always like the road team in this series for some reason, especially this week. The Saints, I think, go 3-1.
Okay. Rams, Bears. Rams getting 2.5 on the road. Chicago, do they get their first win?
I'll tell you, the fans in Chicago are not happy. I mean, I've seen some memes. I've seen some stuff on the internet this week. I mean, they're not happy with Caleb Williams. Is this guy a bust? Is that the coach sucks? This and that. I actually like the Bears this week. I understand the Rams, came back and were phenomenal in the fourth quarter against San Francisco, obviously without Debo and C-Mac. And we talked about the injuries. And listen, the Rams are not 100% healthy, and Stafford's really good, but this is a weird spot for them. I think the Rams play really well at home. They're 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games at home, and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games at home. So
what about on the road? This is a road game.
No, it's in Chicago.
Right. Well, you just said the Rams and those.
No, I meant Chicago. Chicago is 5-0 straight up at home, and they're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home. So they're playing their best football at home. I guess that's not so crazy in the NFL. I mean, you would think most teams would be better at home against the spread, but I think this is a chance with everything I'm reading. There's so much negativity about Caleb and the Bears and this. I'm going to take the Bears. They're getting points.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah. No, they're giving 2.5.
They're laying, yes. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, they're laying less than a field goal. I think they win the game. I like the Bears.
Mm-hmm. I do too. I don't really want this to be one of our picks, but I do agree with you that they'll get their first win here. It's just I don't really want to bet on them given what they've done, and they haven't shown that they can.
Well, they won a game already. They're 1-2. They won the first game. Remember when Will Levis gave him the game on that interception,
the block punt,
and they had a block punt return for a touchdown. So that was at home. So this game now is at home, and I think the Rams come in a little overvalued considering the fact that their roster is so injured. I mean, the Rams are not coming in healthy. Mm-hmm. So I would like the Bears in the under here. I think they'll find a way to win. Santos will make some field goals. It's not going to be pretty, but I think the Bears get their second win. It'll be 2-2.
Okay. Tend to agree with you. I'd rather not pick it as one of our top 5. Next
Understood.
game, Eagles Bucks. Eagles -2.5 on the road in Tampa.
Yep.
They don't have any wide receivers. So it's basically going to be the Saquon show and everyone's going to know it's coming, right?
I would think that would be the case. I agree with that. Second week in a row on the road. I don't really love that in the NFL, and Tampa Bay seems to own this series. I mean, I like Tampa here. I like Tampa a lot. I mean, they're 5-1 straight up, and in their last
healthy.
6 games.
They still have the secondary. My big question with these guys, and I think we'll have to wait and see, is the whole thing with the defensive line, right? Like if Vita Vea, he's questionable, but if he misses the game and this guy can't see the defensive end is questionable, and all the problems that they have in the secondary that they've had for the last 2 weeks.
They have a lot. They laid an egg last week. I mean, Baker did not play well.
Winfield,
Denver,
if Winfield doesn't play, I don't know what Whitehead's status is, but like they have a lot of injuries on the defense.
That didn't seem to hurt him in Detroit.
No, I know.
Tampa Bay to me,
Denver though, for some reason.
Yeah, Tampa Bay and Baker to me are Baker especially is a guy that plays better against better competition. He always has been that guy. Yeah. So like I'm throwing last week's game out. I had Denver on the money line. I called Denver in that game because I think that was like a sandwich game. It was a letdown game. So they were sandwiched between big win over Detroit, we're emotional, and they knew that Philly was coming in, and that's always a great game, and they played them in the playoffs, and they've had a lot of success against Philly. Yeah. So I expect Tampa Bay to give them their best shot this week, and I think Mike Evans has a rebound game, and Godwin. I think I'm not impressed with the Eagles secondary. I think Baker's going to have a game. I like Tampa Bay a lot in this game.
I'm with you, and I like getting 2.5 at home.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Cincy, Carolina, 4.5. Just so you know, the look ahead line on this game was 7. 7. So there's already good OLV, opening line value, compared to the look ahead. And
on Cincinnati.
We'll see. But I kind of feel like
you mean on Cincinnati, you're saying? I
kind of feel like placing a bet on the Bengals here because of the line value based on the look ahead, but also where I think it's going, which is I think people are going to start betting into it. And like they had their moment. They got off. They showed everybody that they're actually a real team, or that they can play football without Bryce Young. And, made a statement last week against the Raiders, who took them for granted. But the Bengals have got to be desperate, and their offense is looking unbelievable. And I just don't know if Carolina's offense is enough to like take advantage of the Bengals the way like everybody else has been, because I have no doubt in my mind that the Bengals are going to score a lot of points in this game. I just can't see it being this like high scoring affair. What do you think?
I got to admit, I have absolutely no opinion on this game. I'm so sick to my stomach over getting eliminated by Cincinnati when I knew Burrow would be good and I knew the offense would be good. The fact they allowed 38 points at home and a record-setting performance to a rookie quarterback on Monday night in front of their fans down, 0, they were 0-2 and they needed a win. It just sickens me. Okay. So I don't even want to give them the time to even talk about them anymore. You may probably right. I don't even care, but I will say Carolina did put Thielen on the IR. He's out for the year, and that's a big loss for them. I know they have the kid Leggett that they drafted, who I just picked up in fantasy because I think going forward, he could obviously fill that void. And they also have a rookie running back that's been on IR that comes back not this week, but week 5. So Carolina may play a little bit better going forward. Not sure what you're going to get out of him this week. It is a little bit of a revenge game for Andy Dalton. I mean, he was drafted by Cincinnati. He did play his whole career in Cincinnati. Yeah. So I have no idea what to do with this game. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Okay. I like Cincy. Let's keep going. Denver Jets, 7.5. Man, that's a lot. You think Denver can keep the momentum going that they started last week? It just seems like a lot of points, but man, what the Jets did to the Patriots is definitely a little bit scary.
Yeah, I think the Jets are going to rout Denver. I think that there was a lot of stuff said by Sean Payton that was really negative against Hackett in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that goes unforgotten. And I think Rodgers really likes Hackett. I think he's going to put it on Denver. I love it. I mean, I don't want to say that because my friends hate when I say that. Every one of my friends tell me, please don't ever say I love the Jets again. But I really like the Jets this week, and I like the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, and I like the way their defense played at home. Now, I'm not sure if that was just because it was the Patriots and it was a division game and blah blah blah, but I feel like the Jets are good. You know, they're a good team. I mean, they're better. Bo Nix is what he is. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. I think they caught Tampa sleeping last week, like I said, on a sandwich game, a letdown game. And I think it's their second game on the road.
Second week on the road.
Yeah. I really like the Jets here. I'm sorry to Rosie and Darren and Todd and everyone else who yells at me, but I like the Jets.
Okay. I do too. I think it's too many points, but I would never take Denver. I'll actually pass. Washington, Arizona.
Do you think that that there's any credibility or influence of the game based on the bad blood between the coaches and what was said?
Yes, I like that angle.
I think that's a real angle too.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think like Sean Payton is a bit of a prick. He's arrogant.
Totally.
Granted, he's got a Super Bowl ring. So, I mean, some of it, you know, he can walk the walk for sure. But
yeah,
I do like that motivational angle by both, you know, Rodgers and Hackett. And I just think the issue for me is, you know, Denver put a really nice game together last week, and they've got to be riding some confidence coming in. And so on the flip side of, you know, the fact that Rodgers and Hackett, you know, that motivational angle, well, guess what? Sean Payton has the same motivation. Like, he feels like Hackett's a loser. And for all we know, he feels the same way about Rodgers. So he wants to shove it up their ass also. I mean, he would love to come in there, and who wouldn't want to come into New York and get a win? You know what I mean?
I agree. And listen, they didn't go back to the West Coast either. I believe they're staying in West Virginia for the week. So
they went to
that didn't really help the Chargers last week, but it is what it is. I still like the Jets. I think 7.5 is a telling line. And I know in the first 3 weeks of this season, I don't know if you saw this stat, teams getting 7.5 or more underdogs, they've all won the game outright.
Is that right?
Yes.
This year?
Yes. And that has been brought up many times this week to people that pay attention. It's been said many times. And you know something? That means it's about to end.
Why?
Because that's just the way it is. It's like when you get a guy on CNBC and he starts talking about a stock, you better sell that stock. That's just the way it is. Okay. When people start talking about stupid shit that don't know what they're talking about in the public domain,
it's a trend. What do you mean? You like trends?
Trends are different. Trends are over years. Trends are over, you know, there's foundation to that. This is a recency thing. It happened three weeks in a row. I'm just going to say, I think it ends. I think there's a huge talent disparity between the Jets roster and Denver's.
Yep. Washington, Arizona, 3.5. I don't know what the total is on this game, but I like it no matter what it is, because these are the two worst defenses. Let me just see what the total is here. It's I got to log back in again. But I mean, Washington hasn't punted in 2 games. Did you know that?
The kid's special, man. He's something else. I mean, I drafted him in fantasy because I knew how good he was at LSU, that he had better numbers even last year than Burrow had, which was stunning to me. And he was the best quarterback in college football. So I thought he was better than Caleb Williams when he came out, but you know, whatever, they took him, who cares? But man, what he did the other night was, you know, he set an NFL record that had never been done. He had a 92% completion percentage as a rookie. I mean, they've been playing NFL football for 100 years? It's never been done. It's pretty impressive. I know since his defense sucks.
You know, them getting 3.5, it seems like a lot, but I almost wonder if that's a trap. Like, I think like they're going to obviously be a very popular pick this week after, I mean, the whole country is talking about this guy and how great he played and how great he is.
Yep.
They're ready to give him the rookie of the year already.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like this guy's walking on water. And wouldn't it be so typical of the NFL if he laid an egg this week in Arizona?
It would be. I don't know if he will, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think their defense is terrible, Washington, and I think Kyler is going to have a bounce back game after a disappointing effort last week at home. And I think I like Arizona in this
last
game.
week. I mean, they kind of hung in there. Actually, they only lost 20-10.
They did. They hung in there, but I think Kyler is against a defense like this, he's going to expose them. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a huge game. That guy St. Juice couldn't cover his shadow. He's horrible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's going to get abused, and James Conner is going to score. And this is second week in a row on the road and a short week off a Monday night game where you have this exuberant win. I love Arizona in this game. I think that's a huge underlay, 3.5. I think they win by at least 10. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me if they won this game by 2 touchdowns, honestly.
Doesn't part of you think that who is Arizona to be laying 3.5? Or you actually think that that's? I
actually think Arizona is better than people think because of the skill position players on the offense. I think Kyler Murray is a veteran quarterback at this point. He can run the ball. They have a number 1 wide receiver in Harrison Jr. James Conner is a great running back. I mean, I don't have to tell you if I told you about his fantasy stats over the guy won me the league last year. He scores every game, and they have a great tight end who probably is the best tight end in the game right now. The way that Mark Andrews is doing nothing, Kelsey's doing nothing, and
also
and Laporta hasn't been great. I mean, McBride's been the best tight end in football.
Yeah. It's a little surprising. I mean, Washington has the worst defense in the league, according to my DVOA numbers. And Arizona, you would think would be bottom 5, but they're actually 24th.
Yeah, they're not as bad as you think.
There's a lot of teams with a worse. I mean, listen to all these teams with a worse defense than Arizona: Atlanta, Colts, Philly, Jacksonville, the Rams, Miami, Denver. Arizona has a better defense than all those guys so far this year.
It's pretty impressive, and you know what? They're middle pack team. I mean, I don't think Arizona's a playoff team, but I think they're catching Washington in a perfect spot. Like you said, everyone's raving about this kid, but I think it's a hard spot for Washington. I think it's very tough in the NFL to go two weeks in a row on the road, especially with a rookie quarterback. And I think Kyler against that defense is going to have a day.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Patriots 49ers, 10.5. Geez, I mean, if the Jets can beat up on these guys, what are the 49ers going to do to them coming off a loss? They're going to destroy them. Now, I know Kittle is probably still out, right?
Yeah, Kittle's really banged up, and Debo, I think, is going to be out too.
Questionable. Let's see if I don't know if he
didn't really much matter for Purdy last week. I mean, they put up 28 at the Rams and blew the lead in the fourth quarter and lost, but it wasn't their offense; it was their defense that cost them.
Yeah. I agree. They got Ayuk and Jennings are totally sufficient.
What's the line in this game? 10?
10.5.
God, that's so big.
Yeah.
So that's the survivor pick of the week. Obviously, no one's taking San Fran, and you figure the biggest spread, people will jump on them. From a trend standpoint, it's a little bit mixed here. New England's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games on the road. Obviously, the other night was their loss. But prior to that, they'd been better, but that wasn't this year. And San Fran is 16-3 straight up in their last 19 home games. So they play very well at home. Yeah. I am inclined to agree with you, but I'd have to look at the injuries. I mean, if they're going to be that depleted, I know the kid Juwan Jennings had an unbelievable game for San Fran last week, and he came out of nowhere. He had 3 touchdowns. I mean, everyone in fantasy picked him up this week, but can he do that again? Is New England's defense really as bad as they showed the other night, or is their offense as incapable as it showed against the Jets? I kind of think they're better than that. I mean, I'm willing to almost throw out the Jet game with New England a little bit of a way, because I feel like it was more of a coming out party for Rodgers and the Jets to finally have a home game and, sort of slay the dragon that's been that dragon forever for the Jets, which is beating New England, which they've had a hard time doing. So this is a hard game to pick. Gun to my head, if I had to take it, I would take the 10.5 because I think it's a lot of points. And I think that the New England defense is probably a little bit better than they're getting credit for.
All right. I like the 49ers. I don't really want to read into this. I just think they're coming off of 2 losses, both on the road. They're home. Yeah. they need a win badly, and they need a confidence boost. And I mean, who better to get one against than New England? It's New England's not a good team.
Listen, New England's played a lot better than people thought they would. And I think that breakdown on the defense for San Fran in the fourth quarter is alarming. What happened last week? To blow a 14-point lead against a division rival that you own. That's a little bit weird to me. I don't know what's going on with that defense with Bosa and those guys, but that was weird to me. I know it's Stafford, and Stafford's great, and he's capable every week of doing it, but that would be a little bit alarming for me. We got to look at the injuries. If Kittle plays and Debo plays, then I'm going to say lay the 10.5. Yeah. But if those guys don't play and you're relying on these backups against Mayo's defense off a loss with 10 days to prepare, I think that's trouble.
Also, playing Jacoby Brissett is like
he's capable, he's like one game up, one game down. He doesn't normally kill you. I mean, he stands there and takes a beating. I mean, that guy takes a licking and keeps on ticking, man. That guy's unreal.
All right, so you're passing, I guess.
Yeah, if I had to, I'd take New England.
Okay, Browns, Raiders. You want to give your opinion before I have my biased view?
I think this is, to me, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen in this game. I think Cleveland plays better football on the road. You know that I feel that way. I have their defense in fantasy. I hope that they show up and play well. I know that the Raiders coach called out a number of players last week for making business decisions and not making plays and laying down in that game. And I don't know how they respond to that. I know they like him as a coach. Do they get the message and show up and fucking actually play the way they're supposed to play? And give it their all, or is he going to show them the door or the bench and not even play some of these guys? Yeah. It's very hard to read. I know Deshaun's not been good. I know your offense is banged up, the offensive line, etc. But your defense travels. They don't have a great quarterback. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. Honestly, I don't want to pick it. I have no opinion. Honestly,
okay.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Passing, I lean toward the Raiders, but I also. If you force me to bet, I would take the Raiders in this game. Our offensive line is an absolute mess. Wyatt Teller went to the IR. We're starting Zach Zinter. You know who that is?
No.
He was our number one. He was the guy from Michigan who changed the whole game. The Ohio State, he got knocked out of the game.
I remember that.
Paralyzed. He gave the thumbs up.
Yes.
And the
changed the whole game.
Changed everything.
Michigan ended up winning that game.
He's our first pick. He was our second round, and the first pick we had in this year's draft. I mean, good player. So he's starting at right guard.
Interesting.
Bitonio is going left. Jedrick Wills probably won't play. Conklin probably won't play. Jerome Ford is questionable. Amari Cooper questionable. And Njoku, like the amount of injuries, and on top of that, we're not good on offense. We're probably ranked 27th or 28th. Mm-hmm. I don't think. Like I said on Monday, until Nick Chubb and Njoku are back in this offense, and I don't know what's going to happen with Amari Cooper, but I just don't see us really scoring.
Okay,
in a game until all those guys return and we get into some kind of a rhythm, probably at home against somebody in a couple weeks from now. But this is an awful position for us, like to travel over there after them getting absolutely embarrassed by the worst team in the league with a head coach like that. I mean, this isn't like.
I agree.
This isn't some soft head coach. This is a guy who's fucking probably storming around the campus the entire week.
Dude,
people
he was irate.
Anywhere within 10 feet of the guy.
100%. He was completely irate. I mean, he was ripping guys right to their faces. So I hope they respond that way. I don't know. I mean, obviously I have no love lost for the Browns as a Steeler fan, but and every loss I can get in our division, I'll take. But I do acknowledge that you play a little bit better on the road than you do at home lately.
Yeah. Steelers, it's well documented what your schedule looks like. You got to rack up wins. Your schedule in the back half of the year is absolutely brutal.
It's the hardest schedule in football.
So you got to rack up these wins, and if you can get to 5-2, 6-1, like before it gets hard, like good for you.
Yeah, hopefully it continues.
Okay, so I'm on Raiders. You're passing. Chiefs Chargers. It's 8.5 on the road. Man, they own these guys. But it looks like Herbert won't play. Let me just confirm
So
that.
it's Taylor Heineken.
Yeah, he's questionable.
He's got if you have a high ankle sprain, he shouldn't have played last week. I mean, that's not an injury. Although last year there was, who the hell did it that year? Was it Mahomes?
Yeah, well,
Mahomes who
also
fucking did it. Well, he's a freak.
Well, so was who did it last year was Trevor Lawrence. Remember, and
that's right. He was the other guy. Rocky Dennis did it. You're right.
He wouldn't come out, and some of these guys will sit out immediately and not play. Deshaun Watson's one of them.
Yeah.
Trevor could be out 2 to 3 weeks with this.
I don't know how you feel about this. To me, this is pretty easy. I like the Chargers with the points. I never like Kansas City laying this many points, especially on the road. Second straight game on the road. Chargers, Harbaugh is going to have that defense playing. I mean, I can't imagine them. I can't imagine them not being competitive in this game. Harbaugh's first shot.
I entirely disagree, but I would never bet on or use them in a pick pool because Taylor Heineke against the world champion Kansas City Chiefs is not something that I want to get involved with.
I understand it. I agree with it. And Joey Bosa's hurt. So that's an issue too. He might not play.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps Kansas City. I just think 8.5 is a big number for a division game.
I don't disagree. It is.
And I love the way Dobbins is playing. I know he had a rough game at Pittsburgh, but the truth is Pittsburgh stops the run. So this is a different Pittsburgh team than last year. Yeah. These guys now stop the run. So, that's a big advantage for Pittsburgh because now you're forcing teams to play action and throw. And that's when you get the ends coming after them like TJ and not Highsmith or Herbig, whatever. And that's when turnovers happen and strip sacks and fumbles and all that fun stuff. So I think I
see this like Chiefs are going to be up middle to late fourth quarter by 10 or 13 points. And everyone's going to be like back doors open and Heineke's going to be driving.
Yeah.
And who is going to decide that he ends the game with a sack? Chris Jones, game over, Chiefs cover.
Okay. I'm going to agree to disagree with you. I think this game's low scoring. I think the Chargers are competitive.
Okay. You like Chargers. Best game of the day. Bills, Ravens. 2.5 Buffalo's getting. Oh man. In Baltimore. This isn't even Sunday night, is it?
I love Baltimore in this game. God.
You?
Oh, I love Baltimore.
Oh, it is Sunday night. It is Sunday night.
I think Baltimore in this game, first of all, they're 5-1 straight up in the last 6 games at home against Buffalo. They own Buffalo. They own Buffalo the way Buffalo owns Miami, the way Josh Allen owns Miami. Buffalo's coming in. Josh Allen played the perfect half of football. He had a perfect rating. He was unbelievable. I totally agree against the dog shit fucking Jacksonville team. Don't even remind me of that I had to watch that massacre when I had Jacksonville on the money line somehow, unspeakably.
Yeah.
And
at least you didn't have them with the points.
And I just think Baltimore, the win in Dallas is going to completely ignite them as a team. Baltimore is a legitimate Super Bowl favorite. In the AFC, they were coming into the season. They're 1-2. They're at home against a team they beat all the time at home, and they're laying less than a field goal.
Yeah,
I like Baltimore a lot.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
And the Bills are due for a loss.
If this was in Buffalo, I would feel the complete opposite. But I think your trends are correct there, and I think it's going to be tough. Jacksonville, whatever. They beat the piss out of them, and the Miami, was Tua hurt in that game?
That's where Tua hurt his head. Yeah.
Okay.
And the game was, I think, out of control at that point because James Cook had like 3 touchdowns in the first half. And Josh is I love Josh. I told you, I thought Josh is really the MVP in the league. I think he's underrated in some respects, by people because they all say, oh, he turns it over all the time, blah, blah, blah. But the guy's Superman. I would love to have Josh Allen as my team as a quarterback. I would take him any day. Any day. Imagine Josh Allen on the Browns. How many more fucking games you guys would win?
Well, at least
ridiculous.
I like the durability, and you have that in Justin Fields also. Like we don't have these guys.
He's young and strong. Justin's really coming into him to his own under Tomlin and Arthur Smith.
Sean runs.
Yeah,
I get nervous.
He's undisciplined. Yeah, I totally get it.
I think he's going to get hurt. But when Josh Allen runs, or when Hurts runs, or Fields, these guys that are like 6'4", 6'5", and just big.
Well, Lamar is not big, but when he runs, he never gets hurt. He's just smart. He slides. He runs out of bounds. Like Lamar is slippery and yeah. And I think this is the week where the Bills defense gets exposed a little. Lamar has a history of exposing Buffalo's defense. I think it's going to happen this week for the first time to Buffalo. I think Buffalo's riding a little bit too high on that horse right now. Everyone's penciling them in, and I think they're going to get smacked down to reality.
All right. I don't entirely disagree with what you're saying, but I'm not a huge Ravens fan. As you know, I'm not a huge Lamar fan, and Buffalo.
I do know that
very well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ready to jump on that train with you, but I may be convinced otherwise by the time we get to Sunday night.
I think the momentum off the Dallas win is huge for them to go into Dallas and win that game. And I think they have a chance to even their season. Like you said, every season you break it down to a quarter. If they get through the first quarter 2-2 after playing some bad football, I think that's a win for Baltimore.
Yep. Okay. First of the doubleheader on Monday night is Titans-Dolphins. Jesus, what an ugly game.
What's with these doubleheaders on Monday night? When did they start this crap?
Last year.
It's stupid.
Why?
I don't like it. It's gluttonous. It's like it's too much. There's no reason for it. The league is good as it is. Stop trying to. They're going to the well too many times.
You know what's interesting though about that take right there?
What?
That you and me and the rest of the country have no problem whatsoever and actually enjoy
toggling
8 to 10 games simultaneously every Sunday.
We do. We're a bunch of degenerates.
And
this country,
as soon as they do a doubleheader on Monday night, everyone's like, wait, why could there be 2 games?
It's actually really funny. And I don't know why I have that take, but it's like, you know what? Like Monday Night Football is supposed to be special. It's one team.
I agree.
2 teams. You have an opportunity once a year, maybe twice a year if you're good, to be on the national stage. You shouldn't have to share that stage with another fucking team.
No,
like Tennessee and Miami.
Agree. And from a scheduling standpoint, I would love to see, at least do East Coast, West Coast. Do one game 7:30, one game 9:30 or 10. You know what I mean? Like just like spread it out
a little bit more. You want a little more spread.
Yeah. But I will say what's great is YouTube TV has the split.
That's great.
And it's amazing. Like you just sit there and you have 2 games on.
Sort of like us right now. If you're watching this podcast, split screen. Beautiful.
Exactly. And then you can just toggle to which game you want to hear the volume for.
Pretty cool. I like that idea. Yeah.
And YouTube. They do that a lot with college football. They do the quad. So they'll put all the key games at 3:30 or noon, like all the Big Ten games on it at 12. And you just get the game you want to listen to. It's great.
Is your eyesight good enough, even on a 75-inch, that you can see what's going on in those games?
Oh, yeah. And what really helps is you listen to the one that you're sort of.
Yeah, of course. Right.
In. Yeah.
I would listen to Gus Johnson every time. That guy.
That
guy makes me so happy. I'm so happy for him that he loves doing his job that much.
Yeah. Any opinion on this first one? I'm passing. No.
The trends say under on this on 9 million ways. The total's gone under in 9 of Tennessee's last 11 games on the road. The total has gone under in 11 of Tennessee's last 15 when playing Miami on the road. Under in Miami's last 5 games. Under of Miami's last 5 games at home. Miami has no quarterback. Titans have Will Levis. I don't know. Maybe there's a reversal in the trends, but if it stays the way it is, this is dead under.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Who's quarterbacking Miami? That's the question. Is it Skylar Thompson or is it going to be this kid Boyle? Because if it's Boyle, they cannot win. I'll take Levis over Boyle. Levis to me is like a good, talented young quarterback. He makes a lot of stupid mistakes.
You know who's above him on the depth chart?
Who?
Tyler Huntley.
Oh, maybe it's going to be Huntley. Okay.
Yeah.
Reed laughed at me last year. He was making fun of me all year because I thought Huntley had some skills. I never said he was better than starting quarterbacks, but for a backup quarterback, I thought the kid was capable enough because he can run the ball. We
had him on our team.
I know you did on Cleveland.
I thought he was actually going to be our 3rd string quarterback, but they got rid of him and they went with DTR.
And then he went to Baltimore and now he's here. He's a guy that's going to get a paycheck everywhere he goes and sit there with a clipboard until somebody gets hurt.
Yeah. Or no, until 2 people get hurt.
Yeah, he's better than Boyle. I'll tell you that. So if it's Huntley, but even if it's Huntley versus Miami's really desperate for a win. I think Miami season's over. I honestly, I just think they're running into like a thing like the Jets ran into last year.
Mhm.
Like they're done. Like I don't see. I think they're hurt on the defense. I think that and listen, I could be dead wrong. They still have Tyreek Hill and those guys, but I think those guys have checked out. When you don't have a quarterback and you're running all these routes and no one's throwing you the ball, eventually you just stop running those routes. You know what I'm saying? You're not into it the way you're supposed to be. And they didn't show up last week at all in Seattle. And I know Tennessee's a bad team, but I think Levis is better than his record is this year. He's got a lot. I've seen him throw some deep balls that are beautiful. I've seen him get out of trouble and make some really nice runs. He just makes these stupid plays, like young, dumb plays that he's got to stop doing. But the only way to do it is to learn. And I if I had to take the game, I would take Tennessee, but I'm not betting the game.
The good thing about these two games on this Monday night is that probably nobody is going to watch this one.
You know what? There's gamblers, like you said. We're all a bunch of degenerates. Anyone that's watching this thing, anyone that listens to us, anyone that bets, everyone has FanDuel and DraftKings and players and fantasy and these parlays and all this shit.
Yeah.
People are going to watch that game. You'll be surprised. Millions of people are going to watch that fucking game.
All right. Last game of the week, Seattle, Detroit, 3.5. Detroit's laying. Detroit's at home. Good game here.
This is such a fun game. What's the spread?
3.5.
I'm going to take I like the hook. I think it's a 3-point game and Seattle could win it. I'm taking 3.5.
Really?
Yeah. And Seattle, I hearken back to what you said early in the year about Seattle. You really like Seattle after their first performance that first week. And you said you're going to keep an eye on this team because this coach and the way he conducts himself is all business. And Seattle has been all business.
Yeah.
And they're a team that has had success against Detroit. Seattle is 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games against Detroit.
Wow.
Seattle is 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games at Detroit.
Wow.
And we're getting 3.5. I would take the 3.5. Seattle.
Yeah. I like it. Me too. I'm with you.
Yep.
All
and
right.
by the way, I also, for what it's worth, I think Geno Smith is getting a lot of love this week in fantasy. So I would expect this game to be a high-scoring game. And I know when Seattle's played Detroit before, it's been kind of a wide-open affair. So I think there's going to be points slinging around all night long. And I think,
but Detroit kind of, if they play true to themselves, they'll run the ball.
Yeah, but they can go over the top with St. Brown and with Jameson Williams. So they have weapons, and obviously Laporta. Look at Laporta, see if he's hurt. I thought he was nicked up. I'm not sure he's going to go this week, actually. It's a big disadvantage for Detroit if he doesn't play.
It says questionable. Low ankle sprain Monday.
Yeah,
After
he's got a low ankle sprain, which is better than a high ankle sprain because at least you could tape it and wrap it, shoot it up and go. But it's still, if he's not coming out of his breaks quick and he's not able to really put the weight on that foot the way he's supposed to, that's a big disadvantage for Goff because Goff loves throwing at Laporta. Loves.
Yeah. And what
so
about,
I like Seattle. I'm with you on Seattle. I think that should be in our top 5.
Okay. No, beside Kenneth Walker, that same staff that was on the field.
Yeah, we'll play Charbonnet. Charbonnet's fine. He had a great week last week.
Yeah. All right. So you want to recap real quick? We don't agree on Dallas Giants.
We kind of do. You may be able to get me on Dallas. We'll have to talk about it further tomorrow. I may do it with you. It's just, I don't know. I don't trust them.
Okay. Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Houston. Like we agreed on the first, 3 out of 4, or maybe more if you actually like Dallas. Then we really didn't. Then I guess we both like the Bears. Well, that's a tough one.
You like the Jets?
I'd like to try to stay with the good teams.
You like Denver? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we both like Tampa.
Yes. I love Tampa.
We both like Arizona.
Yep.
You didn't like the 49ers. I did. I like the Raiders. You passed. I passed on the rest. You really like Baltimore.
I love Baltimore.
And we both like Seattle. So we've got a good 7 or 8 here to narrow it down.
We definitely do. And we got some really good teams in there. And I think if we'll figure out a way, Jack, that we have to go 4-1 again. We have to do it. 4-1 or 5-0 this week. I think we can do it.
And I'd prefer, just looking at this on the surface, to stay away from the teams that are not very good. So like if we agree on Pittsburgh.
Well, the Bears would be a team that we would immediately throw out if that was the scenario. But I will say,
Arizona.
I think we almost should stay away from Thursday nights. We're fucking horrible.
Yeah.
We're not good on Thursday night. Let's just admit it.
Double-edged sword because I love getting that win. Then you have only 4 left to go, and then but if you
honestly,
lose, like, you're just
I'm okay. I'm okay with not having the pressure of having to pick a winner on Thursday night in a contest scenario because there's enough games on Sunday and there's more injury stuff that comes out. It's just more, you get a better feel for it. I think I'm okay with not betting Thursday night. So unless I love the game, and I don't normally love these road teams on Thursday night also. I think it's kind of a tough spot for them in most cases, but I know Dallas owns the Giants. So for me, this one's tough. I like the way the Giants have played recently. I think their defensive line has played well. I know they have issues in the secondary. I don't want to rehash it, and Dallas is due for a win. God knows they need one. Ever. God, boy, do they need one bad.
Back-to-back, really, really bad games.
Yeah, just remember, guys, last week the trends 14-7 gave you a lot of trends this week. I think you ride them until proven differently, but if you can win 2/3 of those trends every week, you're making money.
Oh, yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. WannaMakeABet.com. Best and only sports betting league website in the world.
No doubt. Jump in the league, guys. Have a lot of fun with it. It's there's nothing like it. Also, there's a lot of trash talking that goes on amongst the players, which is also a lot of fun.
All right, buddy. Good show. And we'll talk again Sunday. Are you Sunday night or Monday night?
No, let's do Monday. They'll do the recap show Monday and discuss all of our losers and who's fucked us and who killed us and who didn't play well and how we lost all my fucking parlays and shit.
Stay away from those parlays.
Do you know last week I told you, but I didn't put it on the pod, but I had so many money line underdog winners that
I know you told that whole story on Monday.
There was one game, the Tennessee game cost me 80,000 units on 2 500-unit parlays. I mean, can you imagine risking that little and almost winning that much? That's the allure of the parlay, but that's why at the end of the day, they were both losers. That's it. There's nothing to say. It's a fucking loss.
Cautionary tale, everyone. Stay away from the trap.
Straight bets, guys. Straight bets.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
See you, pal.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.